Evet, bu oturumda ilk olarak
In this session, first of all, I want to share Turkish Steel Industry Assessment with you.
evet, aslında çok değişik grafikler paylaşmayacağım. Burada
I won't be sharing different graphics. Actually, SteelOrbis monthly assessment report, we have some graphics from there. I will share them with you. And we want to refresh your information. First of all, I would like to start with the world crude steel production. In 2021, 1.9 billions of tons. It has exceeded the world's steel consumption. Production in the last 2 years, it has reduced a little bit. And then start of the last year, China said they will reduce by 50 million, but they entered the year so much that no reduction, but compared to previous year, they were about to produce much more. But let's say they had a plan or not, at the end of the year, they had made 45 millions of tons. So globally, it's approximately same amount of reduction. Whether China planned this in the second half of the year or whether they had to do it, it's a different analysis. I believe they had to because their internal consumption was problematic, and the same way if they continue the production they will have serious problems, and as they saw the problems will be bigger, they had to reduce their production in the second half and close the year by 960 millions, and this year they entered more aggressively in the first half, 75.3 millions of tons of production, and when compared to last year, 14% reduction. There's a serious reduction, and this year we expect lessening production news from China, but as to how much it helps us, it's about their export figures. Unfortunately, their export continues aggressively. If they can reduce it, it will be a benefit for whole world, including us. But right now, their only consumption and production reduces, and in the global production, this reflected in the global production. It was 143 millions of tons monthly, and this causes 6.3% of reduction when compared to last year's January. When we look at Turkey, we are talking about the steel production. The highest production was, as we mentioned in the first session, it was a beautiful time, pandemic, but afterwards we couldn't get the same capacity utilization and production numbers than 2022, 23. We have a serious reduction, 24, 25. With the new installed capacities, there were increases. Of course, they are both good signs because it has more than 38 millions of tons, and you can see this as annually. These are all taken from our research reports. In 2025 second half, there is an increasing production graphic contrary to China, but in 2026, again, there's a decreased trend, and this trend 3.3 million in January, it realized actually when compared to previous years of January, we can talk about an increase, but when compared to previous years, there is a reduction. When compared to winter months, it's not a good sign because there are many reasons. For example, start of CBAM or our export is having problem in the February. Production numbers are not taken from the institute, but we expect a little bit decrease. Electronical arc furnace and in the high furnace production, the increased trend of the second half of last year, it leaves us to decrease in the first half of this year. The decrease in export, our internal market was not good. The problems, unfortunately, affected our crude steel production as well. In the capacity utilization for long products and flat products, in the long products our log production, and in the flat steel we have the slab capacity. The capacity utilization in flat steel is much better, as you see it. In the January of this year and the last year's, these figures are very well, and we expect a little bit reduction based on the export problems. It was expected to reduce 75%, but for long steel it's not good. It's going worse, and in December, by the end of the year, they are trying to make the orders with that effort. But before the January comes, it was a little bit more capacity utilization, but it started to reduce less than 60% for the long products. And the production in our country, the raw material costs are important. They are not production costs, but just raw material costs. And when in the midst of the last year was the lowest of the last 2 years. However, in the recent times, it started increasing, and here especially in the ore side, there is being changes, and in the coal side, these are all high capacity furnace, and in the scrap side, freight also affects. I will be talking about them. We see a little bit increase, and this is based on our research reports. It's an approximate, and the change of the cost in the recent months we hope to reflect symbolically when we look at the month January. From January to February there was a drop down in cost, but the month March, as of this period, especially in the freight prices, its impact on the increase of the energy cost. So it has negative impact of the energy cost, and both electricity arc furnace and high burning furnaces, the approximate cost calculations increased in February $514. High furnace facility now become 587, and in February it was 587 electricity furnace cost. In the March again it is calculated to be 604 or 7. And scrap is roughly 75% arc furnace facilities. It's one of the most important raw material item, and here in the production, European Union continues to be the biggest source, even though they have been reduced. Our imports still our biggest source, and second important source is US. And any problems to occur, especially in the recent period, the increasing energy cost, fuel cost, they are all reflected on the freight. It can cause problems to our import, and we hope not to have more restriction, especially from the EU, because it's our most important source. And slab export, it is also for the high cost of the liquid steel. It's an important topic, especially the slabs with better cost. Those flat products help us to be more competitive as the industry. The Most important slab source seems to be Russia, even though there is a serious reduction still every period in the last 2 years. As you will see, the blue side is Russia and our biggest source is Russia, and then Malaysia. Of course, Malaysia has a special condition, but in the last 2 years of process is a very important source. And the third source for slab import is Algeria. When we look at the flat steel production, we cover all those flat products in the last 2 years with the commission of the new capacity. We are now 16.5 billions of tons. We have seen 17.6. Last year it was 16.5 billions of tons. And this year, even though in the first month of the year we see a reduction and slowdown in the production, still it will be higher than the previous year's production. I believe in that. And I hope that the market conditions will get better and we will have chance to close the year better, even though it doesn't seem to be so. The uncertainties at the moment impact a lot. And here you can see monthly these flat products in the last 4 months, 1.5 million of tons of production. And generally, other than few months, we can protect a stable level monthly. If we don't face a serious crisis, it will continue to be so. In the export is the hot rolled, and secondly, galvanized following. Of course, there is a decrease in January and February. It's because of the CBAM. The codes applied generally, and we have seen more in the December because it was a time where they were trying to catch up the year-end orders. So that was the attack. But unfortunately, January and February is an inevitable decrease, which we are experiencing. In the export side, number one is hot rolled. You can see it with green, and due to market conditions, there is also a decrease. Of course, the taxes, tariff taxes, and the last changes in the regulation also affects it. When we look at the balance, as mentioned in the first session, unfortunately, we cannot catch our import with export, including all the flat products. Last year, a general 8.94 million tons, but only we could import 6.5 million of tons. Unfortunately, in the last 7 to 8 years, our export cannot meet with our import. And lastly, I want to mention the consumption numbers in the general flat products consumption. It's not possible to say stable. As you know, our market conditions are fluctuating. Sometimes it goes over 2 million tons, and however, in the recent period, there is a decrease, especially in the last 3 months of period of time. Even though we are not close to the worst period, but still there is a slowdown we need to mention. And very shortly, one of the important topics to affect, first of all, this gentleman. As long as he is the president, we will not be yet relaxed. We won't be able to overcome this uncertainty, and protectionism is the obstacle. We are all continuing to protect ourselves. We are not in a position to remain head to head with China. We need this balanced production, and this trend will continue. for a long period of time, we will face this protectionism and CBAM. I will not go into that because Anıl Akalın will mention she has an important presentation. Therefore, I skip it. And the pressure of the imports this year, we will have anti-dumping, taxes, change in regulations, but import will continue and the pressure of prices, unfortunately, will continue to be in our market. And what is important, this energy price increase of the recent period, it brings us freight cost in production. It gets back to us in the market right now. There is an increase in the market, but of course, it's because of the freight, because of the energy prices. So unfortunately, it's not a actual demand increase. We will see it as well in the future, but right now everything will be restricted by this. Thank you for listening to me, and I would like to leave the floor to Mrs. Anıl immediately.